Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing news, local news, whatever this has morphed into now. This is episode 386. We're joined, as always, by Rob. Let's just draw back the curtain. I mean, we are having to record ahead of time at the moment because me and Rob are both busy people. And we are recording, Rob, on Good Friday. So, Good Friday to you, sir. How are you? It's a beautiful day. It's like we had a couple of spring days, didn't we, earlier this week, and then it all went to shit, and now it's back.
Yeah, happy Good Friday. I'm not sure whether that's the correct greeting, but I'm very well.
Happy Passover as well. We've got lots of things Passover happening all at once.
I'm looking forward to. It was nice finishing work yesterday and realising, we have a 4-day weekend. It's come around very quickly. I can't quite believe it's Easter. It just feels like we've just had Christmas and suddenly it's here. I might be having a breakdown. That is possible, but at least I can enjoy it whilst eating an Easter egg.
I'll tell you something, Rob. I've never really considered. I've never really ever considered Easter a holiday. I don't. Like in the way that people. What am I trying to say here? This is going off on one of our rambles. Before we get to my feelings about Easter, which I'm sure everybody will enjoy, let's just give people the other news, which is big news, because I really have to start off about this, listeners. Rob and I, listeners will know that we have a sister episode, Local Anesthetic Podcast, An Extra Jab, which is brilliantly named, I must say, and it's on Patreon. And basically people who want to be members of the podcast, be supporters of the podcast, can join up and they get these sort of extra bonus episodes a month. And we're already like 45, 46 episodes on there, and they're brilliant. We love doing them. Well, we're closing it down. And we're closing it down, the Patreon, because basically... after doing some, what do they call it when you get feedback? Not focus groups.
Market research.
What is it called when you after we did some market research? We basically, we were already aware of this. We already cut the price because we were aware people are really struggling at the moment. I mean, look, I don't pay for any podcasts, and I host one, and so does Rob. And I think Rob might subscribe to something very limited, but we realised that basically people are really struggling at the moment. And I don't think people have expendable income to be paying to hear Rob and I speak. So we're actually going to close it down. So any of you who are listening who are existing members, you will obviously still get the April episodes. And after that, it will be closed down. And what we're going to ask listeners to do is go back if you can, because we need basically some financial support to keep the podcast afloat, because we have to pay to host it and various other things. And so any of you who want to donate to the podcast, which you can do regularly, or you can do as a one-off, if you go to our website, there is a PayPal button there, and you just contribute that way, which I know some people used to do, and it was always hugely appreciated. And I mean, I can't say that enough. Yeah. We don't mention all the people that do it just because we don't want to embarrass them, but you know who you are, and it's massively appreciated. And although it's going to be sad to see it go, what we're going to do is probably... I think we worked out, didn't we, Rob, that for people who donate in the future, they can get access to that back catalogue of episodes because they're brilliant.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is, all the back catalogue of the extra jabs and also the Daft Talk will still be behind a pseudo paywall. So if you donate, you have access to those. Even if it's a small donation, then we will send you the link to that. It's just as a thank you for your continued support. But also, and we won't say too much at this stage, there is also something else that's brewing in the back of our minds that could be coming very shortly. But we won't go into that yet. Say what it's still in development. So,
yeah, thank you, Rob. Rob, let's just talk about Easter, Christmas, things like that. Look, just for any listeners who don't know, I have some Jewish ancestry on my mother's side through her grandfather. It's a long story, right? But I believe that, and there are certain things in my life which make complete sense because of that. For example, I stopped eating pork when I was 18 for very mysterious reasons. Just stopped, and never eaten it again since. Things like that. But I have no interest in Easter whatsoever as any kind of holiday. I'm also pretty much the same about Christmas, as Rob knows. The only reason I look forward to Christmas with some degree of affection is because I was raised in a household and in a culture where Christmas was the thing and you look forward to gifts. So therefore, I hold it in some esteem. I look forward to it. But Easter, I've never really even felt like... I was surprised when I looked up that shops were closed on Easter Sunday. I was like, really? I had no idea. And apparently it's been that way by government mandate for many years. So Easter is also...
Yeah.
Did you see Easter? Is it as big to you as Christmas, Rob, in terms of do you look forward to it with equal... No, you don't. There you...
No, I don't. And I think... I mean, also, technically speaking, in the Christian calendar, Easter obviously is more important than Christmas. But it just doesn't have the same... Christmas, I think, is a universal concept. I mean, whether you buy into the religious side or not, it's just something that...
Yeah,
it's
everyone's aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can avoid Easter.
You could easily avoid Easter, apart from maybe the annoyance, as you said, of going to the supermarket on a Sunday and realising it's closed.
And as we were talking about, Rob, on the LA Extra, I believe it was, that's probably why that Easter egg you bought me that time, that very thoughtful gift, because it didn't have any lactose in it, because I'm lactose intolerant. It was dairy free, I believe. Just sat in a sort of cupboard.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is also a term for people like you that don't enjoy these holidays. I think it's a miserable cunt. I think that's what it is. But that's by the by.
I think also Easter feels much more... Christmas is pretty corrupted, but Easter, like the Easter Bunny, really, I mean, really, do you know what I'm trying to say? It feels like it's gobbled up whatever Easter was meant to mean. I mean, Easter eggs, come on.
No, and also, I mean, the Easter Bunny, there's no mention of the Easter Bunny in the Bible. I mean, there's no mention of Santa Claus or Father Christmas in the Bible either.
The fact that you're saying this, of course there isn't.
No, but there is a link there because obviously Santa Claus relates to St. Nicholas. So you could argue that he was a Christian martyr. So there's a very tenuous link.
No, but it's a fact you said there's no Easter Bunny in the Bible. I love it. Maybe there's some people who think there is. I mean, I'm sure there is. The world is so ignorant now, Rob.
Isn't there I think there's there was a passage in one of the parables that didn't feature in the Bible that I think mentions St. James dressing up as a rabbit. I'm sure I remember hearing that.
Yeah, I think it's in the Gospel of St. Thomas, one of the apocryphal works.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
Right, look. From that, so basically what we've established is I don't give a shit about Easter, but I'm looking forward to the break. Okay, there we go. It's probably also because we don't get... Oh, no, we do. We get a lot of holidays. Anyway, forget that. Let's just move on from that. Rob, let's start. Is there any news?
No.
Before we pop off?
No, let's crack on. I'm sure we might get some news after we've announced the Patreon, but for the time being, let's just enjoy those stories.
Yes, and we apologise to those people who were fans of it, but what I will say, as you probably will have heard by the new intro music, is that we are shifting the format of LA Podcast and Extra Jab with all that lovely music, because we really like the intro and the outro and all that, to the main podcast. So gone, after God knows how many years, are the traditional jingle, which Rob revealed to me off air he'd secretly begun to hate anyway, so there we go.
I mean, you say begun to hate. I've always disliked it. I don't know why it grates on me. Maybe because I've heard it for the last 11 years. So personally, I welcome the change, Alex.
Would you like a new co-host? Because it sounds like you're just sick of things that are familiar to you at the moment, Rob.
No, some things. Sometimes you just have to just stay with what's familiar. So for the time being, let's keep that format going.
Right. Well, look, Rob, I'm going to read you a story from the highfalutin New York Times.
Okay.
This is a great story. Look, Rob, the onset of the pandemic, as you know, Rob, meant that people suddenly were forced into and very quickly embraced the idea of remote meetings, which, looking back at it, was incredible that we weren't utilising more before, because there are certain meetings that you don't need everybody to trudge into the office to have. I mean, it's ridiculous we weren't doing this before. You and I, of course, were ahead of the curve, Rob, because we decided we couldn't bear to sit in the same room with each other anymore. And I think a good few years before the onset of the pandemic started doing this remotely to have as little sort of contact as possible.
Zoom basically saved this podcast, and put enforced distance between us, which I think we both needed.
when I saw Rob to help him move, I brought, didn't I? It was like a big cardboard cutout that had like the same dimensions as a Zoom thing. And Rob had to, he sort of strapped it onto himself to wear it. So I only had to see him as I was familiar with him on Zoom. I didn't want to see his legs. That would have been too perturbing.
Yeah, I mean, it was an odd move. And to be honest, it made things a lot more difficult. But I understand why you did it.
And you appreciate the help.
And that too, yeah.
Right, but look, let's just talk about, have you ever wondered, Rob? Oh, we're getting into dodgy territory now. When you've been on a Zoom call or any of those other apps, have you ever felt tempted, Rob, to pin somebody to your screen? And do you know what pinning somebody to your screen is?
No, I can't say I do. What is that?
That's surprising. Okay, so if you're looking at a gallery of people, let's say you're in a meeting with 20 people and there's a gallery of people and they're all in their little squares. If you right-click on one of those squares, there's an option to pin them so that you're just seeing them as the main focal point.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You ever felt tempted to do that, Rob?
No, not in the slightest. Right. I mean,
somebody may have
Zoom call of that size, most of the time I've usually already tuned out.
Other people may have done it with you, Rob, and you would never have known. So let's say there was somebody out there that you meet with who's got a crush on you, Rob, for argument's sake. They could be pinning you to their screen so they can just watch you and gawp over you and sort of fantasize about the life the two of you could have. And this story relates to that because the point about that is, Rob, is if they did pin you, nobody would know they'd pinned you.
No.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
That's key. Headline from the New York Times by Leota Tennant. A secret crush goes public in a work meeting. Emily Liu had okay, I won't read the struggle and give it away. So, in March 2020, Emily Yang Liu spent hours each day in virtual meetings with her team at Google, which was working on building COVID-19 exposure notifications technology. To keep herself engaged, she pinned her work crush, Jacob Michael Klinker, to her screen. They'd never met in person. They started working on the contract tracing project together shortly after pandemic lockdowns were enforced in 2020. After seeing him in a meeting, she thought to herself, oh, he's really cute. Technically, though, they had met before in a virtual work meeting in 2018 that she does not remember at all. One day in April 2020, the project manager on the team, Ronald Ho, pinged her during the meeting and said, why do you have Jake pinned to your screen? And when I read this, I thought, whoa. Not that I've been pinning people, Rob, but I thought, whoa, I didn't think you could see.
Yeah, how did you know that?
It turns out, Rob, that Miss Lou 36 had a large mirror behind her, and people in the meetings could see the reflection of her laptop, and Mr. Klinker on her screen as a large square with everyone else in miniature. Oh my God.
That's embarrassing. Yeah.
Mortifying, isn't it, Rob? I mean,
no, because there's no real way you could. If he isn't the person who's sort of hosting or leading the meeting, there's no explanation, is there?
No, I'm going to pin you now, Rob. Look, pin.
Oh, I might do the same to you.
Pinhead. There we go. It's just made. There we go.
Yeah, add
Lovely.
pin. There we go. Oh, I don't like that. I'm going to go back to gallery view.
Okay, well, I'm keeping you big.
Okay.
I tried to play it off, Miss Lucid. I was like, why are you looking at me, and pretended like it was just an accident. She stopped pinning his face, effective immediately. Mr. Klinker never noticed. However, apparently I'm oblivious, he said. Ultimately, and basically the story is that then somebody at work played matchmaker. They now have met up and they are married.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They got married at March 18th at Sprague Lake in County Rocky Mountain National Park.
That's lovely, Alex. That's nice.
After the wedding, the group went to a couple's house and had hot chocolate and pies from Colorado Cherry Company and dinner at a nearby restaurant, Bird and Jim. So she had a crush for a year and a half. They ended up getting married because she pinned him to her screen and the mirror showed it off. I mean, what a sequence of events, Rob. If that doesn't make a romantic out of you, nothing will.
No, true.
Rob, let's move on from love and romance and all those things to the mafia, Rob.
Right. Okay. Let's take that left.
The mafia, Rob. Intimidation and fish. This is by Liam Coleman of the Metro. March 29th. Headline, rotten fish dumped outside restaurant in mafia-style sinister message.
Right. Great. Love it.
Crates of stinking rotten fish were dumped outside of a London restaurant in what residents think might be a mafia-style warning. So, Rob, you will remember the horse's head in the bed, something of that nature.
Yes.
If you woke up, Rob, with a sort of crate of rotten fish in your bed, what would you make of it?
Well, Alex, I'm a very frugal man, as you know. And I would think immediately that the cats have got enough there to eat for at least a week. And maybe Sarah and I too. Although she doesn't eat fish, so it would probably just be me.
Hang on a minute. Fish, Rob, is of course the food of Easter. I'm not sure why.
Is it?
Fish is traditionally eaten over Easter. You should know this, Rob. It's a Christian thing.
I thought fish was on Fridays.
Yeah, that's a separate thing. Do you know what, Rob? Fish Easter. Let's have a look.
Fishy Easter. Good episode title.
Is fish traditional Easter? According to Christians, Rob, of which you count yourself as one, Jesus sacrificed his flesh on what is known as Good Friday. That's why traditionally people abstain from meaty flesh on Good Friday and they eat fish instead. It's viewed as a different kind of flesh and so is favoured over meat on Good Friday. So, Rob, you should be eating fish today, and if you're not, wake up.
Yeah, but
fish
that's my point, Alex. The fact that because you eat fish on Fridays or Good Friday, that's why Christians tend to eat fish every Friday. Friday is supposed to be a meat-free day.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, a Christian right back at you. I think that's how you say that.
There's a lot of places, Rob, that I've worked in, you've worked in, we worked in one of those places together where it was traditional that in the canteen they would serve fish and chips on Friday. So what you're saying is we were being indoctrinated, Rob, without our will, without our say-so, into Christian theology.
I mean, last time I checked, Alex, this was a Christian country, so, until the Jedis take over, of course.
Until the what?
Until the Jedis take over. I mean, they're really, their ranks are swelling at the moment. It's quite incredible.
Right. So I'm not sure my rank is swelling at the moment.
Oh, just to cut your trousers.
What were we talking about? Right.
Easter.
You being frugal.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Fish.
Sarah, your wife, you told me I didn't know she didn't eat fish. Why is that?
She doesn't like it. And trust me,
she doesn't like any.
No,
she doesn't like any fish because there are many different varieties. You know.
I know. Yeah, I have
pollock.
Pollock. Yeah. Cod, haddock, mackerel, sea bass, dogfish, lungfish, catfish, whale.
Rob, does she?
Well, some
bassa.
Bassa's not a fish, Alex.
Bassa.
Oh, bassa. Sorry.
Bassa.
All right. Yeah.
Rob, does she eat sea creatures like prawns, mussels, clams?
No. This is a huge bugbear.
So do we know where this comes from? Is it it's salt? Is salt the issue?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's the fact that when she was living up north and on a very sort of rudimentary diet, as the Northerners often have. I have a feeling that, I mean, anyone knows it's that sort of overwhelming fishy smell, but everyone knows, obviously, the fresher the fish, the less that smell is there. Usually, if that fish smell develops after the fish has been caught within sort of a matter of hours, if not days.
I was told opposite by my fishmonger. He said to me, the more it smells, the more it's fresh from the ocean. And I haven't been, so that would explain why I keep getting sick, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I'll be questioning where he gets fish from.
So do you eat fish?
I do. Usually what it is, when she works late on Mondays, that's usually my fish day, Alex. Usually
so you get a filet of fish from McDonald's?
Yeah, sure, yeah. No, usually I have some fish, maybe with some green veg or rice. It tends to.
Can she smell it on you when she gets home? Does she find you repugnant?
Yeah,
more so than usual.
On occasions, no. I try to make sure that the smell has been contained as much as possible. That's not. But also, salmon isn't sort of an overwhelmingly fishy fish, if that makes sense.
Hello? No, I agree with you. Yeah, right, sorry.
You were just looking at me blankly, so I was just talking nonsense.
Back to this story. The smelly seafood was dumped outside a French restaurant in Angel, North London on Monday and was still there the following day. It's been stinking out residents who've complained to the council about the stench, but it still doesn't answer why the fish was left there. According to one neighbour, the crates were left there on Monday afternoon outside of Le Mercury, but nobody saw who dumped them. Right, Rob, I'm looking at them now. Rob, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 8 crates of just rotten, stinking fish left outside the restaurant. It's, one neighbour said, I wish you guys could smell this rotting fish. This is horsehead in your bed level shit.
Nice. Nice.
Can I say, horsehead in your bed level shit is a good episode title.
It is.
The pile was found in Almeida Street. However, when one resident rang the Le Mercury restaurant, staff claimed it's got nothing to do with them. They claimed it was related to Radicchi, an Italian restaurant nearby that's been closed since January. Rob, there's more than 8 crates. It's about time. Looking at it here, I mean, they're just stacked up, and they really are.
So are they claiming that they've been dumped outside the wrong restaurant? What? I don't understand what they're saying.
Well, a quick Google search shows that leaving a dead fish on your doorstep was a sign used in Italy by mafia bosses to show death was at your door. It was essentially a message to say you will sleep with the fishes if you don't stop what you're doing.
Right.
Since they were first left out, the dumping was reported to the council, who have left stickers on the boxes. I love this. Instead of taking them away, the council Islington Council just left stickers on them saying, council aware notice, the council investigating this illegal dump, and just left it.
It's a lot easier, Alex, and then they've taken action, and then they can move it, whenever they feel like it.
Well, mystery still surrounds the actual reason the fish were left on the street, whether it was a mix-up with the delivery, a terrible prank, or, Rob, a more sinister message.
Chilling.
No comments. Make of that what you will. I think, Rob, what's that Italian phrase, mafia phrase for the vow of silence? Oh, yeah, it's omerta, isn't it, Rob? The code of silence.
Right.
That's what it is amongst mafia. So I think that's why nobody's commented. We're all agreeing to keep stum.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, Rob, over to you.
So, as it is, I mean, it'll be after Easter when this goes out, but I have got an Easter story that I wanted to feature just because it is, I really thought, it's one of those headlines, when I read it, I thought, is this an April Fool's? And it's not, because it's in the 5th of April. Because it is utterly bizarre. And there is another story that's connected, which I'll also just sort of tap into as well. But this was from the Daily Record, and it is, I mean, let me just go into it. So it's by Maya Bolland, who apparently is the assistant trends editor, from the 5th of April. And the headline is, Subway launches bizarre Easter sandwich and customers can try it for free.
Now, I don't know whether it's for right or wrong, Rob. I'm quite partial to a Subway on occasion. What on earth it's got to have egg in it? Has it got egg and fish?
No, well, it's an Easter sandwich, don't forget. So it has got an egg of sorts in.
An egg of sorts?
Yeah.
An egg of sorts? Frog spawn?
No, frog spawn isn't used enough in cooking, if you ask me. It's the kind of thing I can imagine Heston Blumenthal would try and pass off as, a culinary innovation. Anyway, let's get into it. So Subway are launching a new sandwich in time for Easter, but it may not be to everyone's taste. With Easter bank holiday weekend just days away, obviously it's Easter Friday and you would have missed out on this by the time you hear the podcast, but many of us will be stocking up on sweet treats from Easter eggs to hot cross buns. But one food item you may or may not be keen to try is Subway's new cream egg sandwich.
Sorry, what were they thinking? They've put a Cadbury's cream egg in a fucking... I missed those, by the way, in a BAP.
Yeah, and Cadbury's have signed off on this, by the way.
Rob, what date is this story? Because you got form on this.
I did check, Alex. It's the 5th of April.
All right. You look slightly uncertain.
I did check. I did double check. By the way, so let me just... I'll come back to this story, but also, just in case you're wondering, Deliveroo has also launched the first ever Southern Fried Easter egg in time for the weekend. So apparently everyone's getting in. This story is also from the 5th of April. So I think everyone's just getting in on the act. So Deliveroo are basically deep fried an Easter egg.
Sorry.
In case you're wondering.
Sorry, I've just looked up the Subway thing with an image of it, and it's making my stomach turn.
Yeah, I completely agree. So it's named the Submelt. The newest menu edition has been introduced following collaboration with Cadbury's just in time for Easter. with 2 cream eggs melted onto a 6-inch toasted Italian white bread roll. The new option could be the ideal choice for those with a sweet tooth. I agree with you, Alex. I think it sounds disgusting, personally.
Right, hang on, Rob. Rob, the issue is we've got 2 massive conglomerates, companies here.
Yes.
Subway signed off on this. Somebody at Cadbury signed off on this. What the hell?
Well, it's obviously...
I do actually feel a bit sick.
I mean, Alex, let's be honest. It is clearly a promotional stunt. There's no two ways around this. They're only doing it for one day. So let me...
You get them free, don't you? Is that right?
They are
you get
free, but
free?
they are only... So let's go into the details. So as you rightly say, you can get this free of charge. Okay, it is only available today on Good Friday.
We're losing... Oh, right. So irrelevant for our listeners.
It's irrelevant for our listeners. So the fast food giant is handing out this peculiar piece for free at Glasgow's Souchy Hall Street branch, one of only 4 stores offering the treats. You can also get it at London's Tottenham Court Road, Liverpool Street's Ranelagh Street's shopping centre, and the Lammas-Metz service station in Swansea. So if you're...
it's a bit... Sorry, what the locations they chose, are they... Swansea sounds about right. Well, the other places also about
Swansea,
right.
Glasgow. I mean, let's say, Alex, if I read these out, you're going to be disparaging anyway. So Swansea, Glasgow, Liverpool, and Tottenham Court Road in London. Any comments on those locations?
Tottenham Court Road in London has a lot of homeless people, so I think they'll think that might get them there. And then Glasgow, Liverpool, and Swansea speak for themselves. So sorry, just to be clear, Rob, you were telling me earlier this is a Christian country. The United States, of which, where Subway comes from, is also a Christian country. And of course, the United States companies own Cadbury's now. Kraft, I believe, is who owns them. So to celebrate, or might be the wrong word, but to commemorate the crucifixion of the person who's revered in Christianity, i.e. Christ, they're giving away a Cadbury's cream egg in a baguette.
Correct. Do you want to hear from both Subway and Cadbury's?
Yes.
So following the announcement, apparently he's the senior NPD and product innovation manager. His name is Rusty Warren, which I think is a great name.
I've got a bit of a Rusty Warren at the moment. Actually, I'm going to see a doctor.
You can get that by not wiping properly. So he says, so we're delighted to have
It's got to go on our list, that, Rob. Rusty Warren. I'm writing that down now.
So we're delighted to have a collaboration with Cadbury's this Easter. Our Italian white bread and Cadbury's cream eggs make the most flavourful combination, a perfect seasonal treat. And then Charlotte Docker, who's the brand executive for the Cadbury cream eggs, added, when Subway approached us to create this extraordinary sub-melt, we simply couldn't resist.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. The highly anticipated cream egg season is in full swing, and so we're excited to launch this innovative product with Subway as a final hurrah of the season.
So this is their idea of gaining publicity for both.
Of course it is.
Did you say absolutely. A final hurrah? Final hurrah for what? Is the Cadbury's cream egg going?
No, the final hurrah of the season. Because obviously it's only available...
What season?
Easter. Because obviously, the cream egg's only available for a very limited period, right?
Cream eggs, is that right? You can't buy them all year round?
Did you not know that?
No. I thought
they only come out for Easter. You look really confused.
All I remember, Rob, about Easter as a child, which I did enjoy, were those little eggs, the little chocolate eggs.
Oh, I saw mini eggs. I still love mini eggs. I'm quite partial to mini eggs.
Of course you do, Rob. Do you know what, Rob? I was thought about you the other day because we have this guy who comes over. He's more than a handyman. To describe him as a handyman to do him a disservice, but he's been helping us with various things at the house. And when he brings his lunch, he brings it in this packed lunchbox, Rob. And inside it will be what I can only describe as like the lunchbox of a child.
Right.
So it will be sandwiches with their crusts cut off.
Okay.
He's in his 50s. Like a bag of what's it's Monster Munch, whatever, some sort of childish yogurt, and it maybe like a cheese string or something. Right. And I thought of you, Yeah.
Then thank you. Thanks for that.
Okay, Rob, it's time for our listener story of the week.
Right, so it is from Face the Strange.
Hey, Face the Strange, brilliant. Great.
He's on a bit of a roll, actually, I have to say.
He is.
It is from the Brisbane Times.
Or a bit of a baguette.
Oh, yeah, very droll. So it's from the Brisbane Times from the 6th of April. So
now, how is he finding stories on the Brisbane Times? Maybe he's Australian. We never asked.
I don't think he is. He might be.
I think he is. Good day, mate.
Let's say this. It is by Jocelyn Garcia, and the headline is "Whole Other Level of Stupid: Man Charged After Allegedly Taking Platypus." As you know what?
As well, if I was going to choose an animal, that would be platypus, because platypus is just a funny word.
Yeah, and it's an odd animal as well. It's a talking point, Alex, if you ask me.
Yeah. Oh.
So a man has been charged after allegedly taking a platypus from its Moreton Bay habitat and then taking on a train where it was shown to passengers. The animal's precise location and condition is still not known.
So he stole a platypus and showed it to people on a train?
Well, yeah,
hey, do you want to get a look at my platypus?
So basically, the platypus was taken for the wild, and obviously he had to get home. So how do you get home? You get on a train. And, if you're carrying a platypus, you may as well make conversation.
Right. With the platypus?
Well, maybe. So people were earlier appealing for police were earlier appealing for two people to return the platypus and release footage of the pair boarding a train with the animal. Cameras picked up the pair at the
It's like a buddy movie, Rob, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Turner and Hooch. Do you think he stole a platypus for sexual reasons?
It's always a possibility. We can't rule it out, Alex. We've talked about this many times.
Isn't there another animal that looks like a platypus? Like, you know how you get a porcupine and a hedgehog, and they're very similar. I don't really know the difference. Is there a thing that's similar to a platypus?
I don't think there is. No, not as far as I'm aware.
Sorry, you want to pick me up? Okay, what's the difference between a porcupine and a hedgehog?
Have you ever seen a porcupine?
Do we have them in this country?
No.
Well, then how am I going
to... Well, maybe in zoos, but...
Oh, right, yeah, they are different. They are completely different.
You also have the internet right in front of you, but that's fine.
No, I don't use the internet anymore, Rob. I've got a picture of a really pretty one here. They've got that big nose, haven't they, some of them?
Again, when you say pretty, can I just... I've seen your magazines.
Well... Okay.
I think their spines are a lot more dangerous as well. I think they're a lot more resilient.
Okay.
So I wouldn't get too close. So cameras picked up the pair at the Carbucha north of Brisbane about 11 a.m. on Tuesday, where they're seen boarding a train at the Morayfield station with the animal wrapped in a towel, patting it and showing it to fellow commuters.
It's like he thinks it's like Baby Yoda, doesn't he? Grogu.
Yes, yeah, I think that's absolutely... And it wouldn't surprise me if he got home and put it in some sort of weird outfit. There were concerns the animal might get sick or die the longer it's out of the wild. Police warned that it might also have venomous spurs, which could injure people or other animals. I didn't know that they had venomous spurs, but okay. On Thursday afternoon, the 26-year-old was charged with taking a protected animal and also restricted on keeping or using a protected animal after the Raleigh police found the man in Carbucha around 12:30 p.m. He is scheduled to appear at the local magistrates' court on Saturday, so they have found him, but the animal hasn't been recovered.
Okay. If they found the man, but they haven't found the platypus, that's concerning. If anybody knows about the whereabouts of the platypus, please contact RSPCA, and I'm sure they'll get in contact with their international colleagues and solve the crime. That brings this episode of Local Anaesthetic Podcast 386 to a close. Normally I'm talking about that we'll be back on the Patreon. We're not going to be back on the Patreon. Anybody who's on the Patreon at the moment, look, by the end of April it's going to be closed down. To commemorate Easter.
And the fish.
That's why we're doing, and the fish, yeah. But you will keep getting regular content. We're just going to put the output on the regular feed for the LA. So there'll be an episode a week from now on. For all you, what did we call our listeners once? Local anesthesiacs. Never really took on. Local anaesthetic is difficult enough to pronounce and spell. We shall see you next week, listeners, for episode 387. Take care. God bless.
And keep it local.